What's up, all of you crazy, beautiful, and creative people? Welcome back to another episode of Creative Motivation, where I give you the most practical advice possible to staying on your creative quests, keeping you out of the rut, allowing you to make art in a world that needs it now more than ever. Today's episode, finding inspiration when you're in a funk.
I'm standing too close now to your fire. My feet are burning, burning like my love, baby, just for you.
So, if you're in the creative arts, you are no stranger to the enemy, the arch nemesis, the villain of all villains, writer's block. Even if you're not a writer, it's a creative block. It's the worst feeling ever. When you finally have some spare time, you can sit down, you can finally be creative. And as the brush hits the canvas, as the fingers touch the ivory, there it is. Emptiness. A blank spot. It's the worst feeling ever. But today, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about overcoming that. We're going to talk about moving past it and eradicating it from your life forever. Hopefully I can find an effect in post that's like forever, 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 forever. So anyway, let's talk about it a little bit. Why are you in a funk? Well, I like to think of it in a few different ways. So if you're feeling in a funk, that's the worst time to try to be creative. Some people thrive in that zone. If they're feeling down in the dumps, that's when they create their best art. But for a lot of us, we don't thrive. We don't take care of ourselves, we don't eat right, we don't sleep right, and we certainly don't create right when you're feeling like garbage. So let's address a few reasons why you might be in a funk. Well, maybe it's a life event. Maybe someone close to you just passed away. Maybe you just got fired from your job. Maybe someone just broke up with you. Those things can really put a damper on your mood. And so life events really come and they go, and they're always unexpected. And another thing that might be putting you in a funk is a chemical imbalance. Maybe you're someone who's kind of predisposed to depression or anxiety. But there's hope. And I think one of the best weapons against these funks, whether you're prone to it or whether life just threw you a curveball, and it's one word: habits. And I know some people don't like that because it kind of puts the responsibility on your shoulders, and sometimes when we're in a funk, we feel powerless to it. But let me tell you a little story about a musician that I knew, so creative, so talented. And when I was talking to this person, I said, well, how's it going? You got this whole setup, you can record in your basement, how's it going? And they weren't doing very well at all. They couldn't create. They weren't eating very well. They weren't sleeping very well. And I said, well, what are you doing? Well, they were living for free with someone, feeling like they were freeloading, feeling like they should get a job, but they didn't really have to, and that job was going to impede on this current creative endeavor that they were going on. They were a cigarette smoker, so they're living in a basement for free, smoking cigarettes all day, not sleeping right, and not eating right. How does that sound to you? How does that make you feel when you picture yourself in that situation? Probably not very good. Those habits, our daily routines, affect our mental health. So even if you're someone who's prone to it, that just means you have kind of an extra climb over someone who doesn't have those predispositions, right? It means you have to try extra hard to keep yourself from falling into that pit. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not trying to downplay that. But I am trying to empower you so that you know that there are things you can do to combat it. And it starts with your habits. Wake up at the same time. make sure you're eating foods. Eliminate toxins and poisons. If you're a cigarette smoker or a drinker or if you're a drug user, those things are going to cloud your mind and they're gonna run your body down. And if your body's run down, you can rest assured that your mind will be as well. So it's crucial to take care of yourself if you're in a funk. Okay? So I wanted to clear that up first. Take care of yourself. Don't let yourself slide into these daily routines that are ultimately just going to kill you physically and mentally. Because if you're in this poor, imbalanced state, how could you expect your body and your mind to perform at peak performance? Which is what you really want. If you're about to play a live show, if you're just trying to write, if you're just trying to paint, if you're a 5-star chef, I know I always say that one, but the kitchen can be quite hectic. And if you're imbalanced and you're frazzled and you're not feeling good, well, you're not gonna be very much fun to be around, and your product is gonna suffer because of that as well. So I wanted to clear that up. You can battle your funk, okay? Now, chemical imbalances aside, feeling crappy aside, sometimes you just get writer's block. And I want to tell you a little story. I used to be in a band called the Womack Family Band. Later on, we were called the Womacks. And I didn't write very much in those times. The songs I did write were fan favorites. We loved playing them live. People still ask about those songs to this day, and that band broke up 5 years ago. And they still ask about these songs, and I am proud of them. But I was always kind of a jokester growing up. When I'm talking to people about inspiration and writing and creating, I try to get them to tap into their inner 7-year-old. Who were you when you were 7, 10, 12? In those crucial developmental stages in your life, people might have told you things while they told me, hey, you're a funny guy, you're the class clown, you know, you are so good with people, right? But in the Womacks, the songs I was writing were kind of brooding. I had one called Bloodline Blues about the capitalistic chains on people and how you're born to essentially be an employee and a slave to the man, right? I had another one called Sisyphus Stone that was about Medgar Evers and Emmett Till and the civil rights movement and some issues I was having with some family members at that time. Race relations, which looking back now is still relevant to this day. But those songs were very serious. They were very heavy. And while I like to intellectualize things, I like to read, I like to be in the know, I like to better myself every day, at the end of the day, I like to have fun. I'm a fun guy. But my music wasn't really reflecting that, right? So you fast forward, in the last couple years, I've been playing with a phenomenally fun group called Fubs and Chubs. And that's the song you heard at the beginning and the instrumental track that's playing right now. And now here's the difference. As soon as I started writing for Fubs and Chubs, I was prolific. Finally I felt like a writer. Well, why? Well, that's because I wasn't taking myself so damn seriously. I allowed myself to write songs about hot legs, which came about because I was standing next to a campfire and I started singing, I've got them hot legs, standing too close now to your fire.
I got them hot legs. I'm standing too close now to your fire.
I was literally standing too close to the fire and my legs were hot. So I turned it into this pop funk song with the gang and...
Thank you so much. I swear to God, I swear to God, this is the last one. Thank you guys so much. This song.
That was my inner 7-year-old, my inner 12-year-old, my inner 14-year-old, the class clown, the funny guy, the one who liked to entertain people. So my message today, again, I'm gonna try to keep this one under 12 minutes. I thought the other video was gonna be shorter and it was just as long as the one before that, so I'm going to be brief. If you're in a funk, if it's chemical induced, if you're feeling depressed, if some things have happened in your life to pull you down, check your habits. It's gonna be the only way you're gonna pull yourself out of it. Take care of yourself, get good sleep, get good food, all the basic stuff, and I promise you it will help. Now, if you're just in this funk of not being able to feel creative and feel that inspiration, well, check yourself. What would your inner 7-year-old do? What were you like back then? And what has life done to you since then that maybe has tarnished or tamped that down a little bit into your soul? And allow yourself to write hot legs. Maybe it's a song about stinky feet. Maybe it's a song about your dog farting. Who cares? Because at the end of the day, that writer's block is keeping you from practicing. Because writing and painting and being creative, it's a practice. Not only is there the technical element of your brush strokes or knowing how to make a good sous vide or whatever it is you might be doing in life, there's that technical aspect that you have to practice. But how are you ever going to get there if you're stopping yourself from doing it because you're feeling like crap? You're not going to get to it. So let yourself create whatever. A moment of silence for that statement. Don't take yourself so damn seriously. You can do this. You gotta let yourself get in the zone. It doesn't have to be the next great song. It doesn't have to be about some heavy, emotional, interpersonal, political, social disarray. It doesn't have to be so weighty all the time if you're that type of artist. Maybe you're a photographer who only likes to do landscapes, but well, you just don't have the money to travel and you can't go here, you can't go there. Well, try to take some portraits. Try to take some lifestyle shots. Open yourself up to just doing whatever so that you have an excuse to get behind the camera. You have an excuse to pick up the guitar. You have an excuse to go to the kitchen. You have an excuse to put a canvas on the easel and do the damn thing that you do. Don't take yourself so seriously and don't put yourself in a box, because I would venture to say that's what's causing your writer's block. Not some external forces, not anything else but that. You have to free yourself from these expectations you have of yourself and just create whatever. The greatest musicians have an endless amount of demos and songs that you've never heard because they let themselves write whatever, because that's how they get themselves in the zone to practice being creative. The pen hits the paper and they let themselves go. Whether or not it ever gets played for the world or ends up on an album, who cares? You're just giving you're giving yourself an excuse to do it. So finding the inspiration when you're in a funk, well, you gotta open your mind and let yourself do whatever it is you need to do in the moment to create. And that's it. So as one more recap, if you're feeling down, somebody just passed away, maybe you're prone to a chemical imbalance, anxiety, depression, check your habits. Make sure you're not letting that mental state affect your physical actions. Eat right, sleep right, drink water, all the basics. Move your body, have sex, work out, run around. Those are very basic things, and if you're not using it, you'll lose it, and then it directly affects your mental health. And that stuff aside, if you're just feeling this block of, I haven't been creative lately, I just haven't felt like doing it, allow yourself to go outside of your comfort zone. Take a dive off of that creative cliff. Just let yourself write a song about mac and cheese. And that's it. Short and sweet. Thanks again for watching. This has been Finding Inspiration When You're in a Funk. I love you. I mean it. I love you. Now go make some art. Toodles.